Imagine a conflict where the enemy is flightless, armed only with instinct, and manages to humiliate a standing army. Welcome to the Great Emu War of 1932, a bizarre footnote in Australian history that proves nature often has the upper hand, even against machine guns. The year is 1932. The setting is the dusty, arid farming region of Campion in Western Australia. The world is grappling with the Great Depression, and Australian citizens, many of them World War I veterans, were encouraged to take up farming in marginal lands with promises of government subsidies. Unfortunately, fate, or rather, ecology had other plans. A severe drought inland forced approximately 20,000 large, sturdy emus, the second largest living bird by height, to migrate westward in search of water and food. They converged directly on the newly planted wheat crops, quickly devastating the farmers' livelihoods and destroying fences, allowing rabbits to further compound the problem. The desperate farmers petitioned the government for military assistance, appealing to the Minister of Defense, Sir George Pearce, citing the sheer number and the ecological damage. The farmers argued that the birds were a pest outbreak requiring rapid, military-grade eradication. Pearce agreed, perhaps unwisely, sending a small contingent of soldiers led by Major G.P.W. Meredith, armed with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The soldiers were not sent to fight a foreign power. They were sent to wage war on birds. The operation began in early November 1932. The official strategy was simple: corner the emus and mow them down. The reality was cold. Emus, though flightless, are fast, capable of reaching speeds up to 50 kilometers per hour. They also proved to be unexpectedly resilient and, crucially, highly intelligent in a tactical sense. On the first day of the attack, soldiers attempted to ambush about 50 birds. The emus immediately split into small, fast-moving groups, scattering in every direction, making them incredibly difficult targets for the heavy machine guns, which were designed for static targets or massed infantry. The soldiers expended hundreds of rounds, achieving only a handful of confirmed kills. A few days later, the troops tried a different approach, rigging one of the machine guns onto a truck. This innovation immediately backfired. The rough terrain made aiming impossible, and the high speeds necessary to keep up with the birds resulted in the gunner losing control, the gun bouncing wildly, and ultimately the soldiers crashing the vehicle. The emus, meanwhile, simply maintained their distance or scattered into the dense bush. The public, fueled by incredulous newspaper reports, quickly turned the military operation into a national joke. Media outlets in both Australia and abroad mocked the spectacle of the well-armed Australian army, failing spectacularly against a flock of birds. Questions were raised in Parliament regarding the enormous expenditure of ammunition for such a paltry return. By the second attempt at mass culling, the frustration was palpable. After over a week of fighting, Major Meredith and his men had fired nearly all of their 10,000 rounds of ammunition, with only an estimated kill count of perhaps 100 to a few hundred emus, a fraction of the 20,000 target. Recognizing the public relations disaster and the sheer futility of the mission, Sir George Pearce ordered the military withdrawal just weeks after the operation began. The Great Emu War ended not with a victory parade, but with an embarrassed retreat. The emus, having survived the military's best efforts, were declared the unexpected victors of the conflict. The incident serves as a peculiar historical lesson in overconfidence and the challenges of ecological management. Despite the official defeat, the farmers were eventually given a bounty system to deal with the pests, which proved more effective than machine guns. Nevertheless, the memory of the emus' triumph over the Australian army lives on as one of history's most unbelievable and hilarious true stories.